Alright, hi, I'm back. Are we live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to Blackwatch Towers preseason, week 3 now. We're gonna be watching XD play against Venomous today. I am Angels here with Pack Attack Corey. Corey, say hello.
Hello.
Alright.
That's it.
We're gonna
That's
be
all you
loading.
get. Hello.
That's all I need.
At the start of
So-
every map, I'm going to say hello, and then I'm going to say bye at the end of every map. That's it. That's all you got.
It's all I need from you, Corey.
I'm just here to move the conversation along.
Alright, so like yesterday, we are going to be starting out on Nepal today. Now, we did see some very strange comps coming out yesterday, but in all likelihood, we're probably going to see something a little bit more meta today. Some probably bunkery comps. Arissa is still in a really strong spot right now, along with Sigma. And who knows, we might even see the balls come out again on Sanctum. We all know how much impact that can have.
You know, and I've told you this before when we've casted, but it's one of my favorite things about casting like Diamond and kind of Masters, but mostly like Diamond and below, is that sometimes you just never know what these teams are going to come up with, and it's quite entertaining when they go off meta. I'm always excited to see what wacky stuff happens.
Now, since we do have a little bit of time, I'd like to talk about a little bit about this upcoming patch that's on the PTR right now. We're going to see huge changes to how the shields work in Overwatch. So many shields are getting nerfed and just straight HP. And some of the heroes like Orisa and Reinhardt are starting to become a little bit more, a little less reliant on their shields, rather. Something that I've heard a lot of people talk about is that Blizzard's trying to maybe change the whole idea of off tanks and main tanks and starting to group them together into just a tank category.
Be interesting. I don't know if that's ever going to come into fruition, because I mean, no matter how bad a Reinhardt or Orisa shield will be, it's better than no shield usually. So it'll be. I don't know if they'll ever get there to just tanks, but I mean, in a competitive standpoint. Now, if we're talking about just normal comp, then obviously no one, all that goes out the window.
We've all had our Roadhog Zarya, Roadhog Diva games. They don't necessarily go well all the time.
Yeah. Well, and everything that of course I can't play on the PTR because console, but everything that I've seen and heard is that the game just feels, and from what I see, it looks so much faster because you can't just sit there with the Orisa shield and the Sigma shield, just infinite barriers, you know.
Well, sustain has become a huge part of Overwatch in these past couple years. Just not necessarily who can output the most healing, but who has the tankier team that can sustain for more time. You don't necessarily have to pump in the most healing, as we saw in the GOATS meta where Zen was being played over Moira. You just have to know what to do with your healing, how to effectively engage and disengage, and that's really up to tanks. And in this new meta that we are seeing on the PTR, hopefully it'll be a little different. It won't be so much sustained and more like what you said, a little bit faster paced gameplay, some more somebody running off on their wild flank. Always love to see, a big old Bastion on a flank, just set up behind 3 people and immediately win the fight for his team.
At the end of the day, though, we have to remember, just like Finding Nemo, all comps lead to goats.
Goats go. Other than just kind of try and adapt, and with these new changes that Blizzard are making, hopefully it makes adapting to these comps a little easier. Long range damage is definitely going to be finding a better spot in this meta than it has, or in this upcoming meta than it has in this meta. You have stuff like the Soldier, like the Hanzo, that can just spam, if the enemy is running shields, you can just spam down these shields from such a distance that they can't really contest you very well.
Yeah, I've heard and seen that Hanzo is pretty bonkers on the PTR.
Plus, you always have a Mercy for damage boost, and damage boosted Storm Arrows just tear through shields. Even Reinhardt's 2000 HP shield gets melted by a Hanzo with Storm Arrow.
Well, it'll be
And it's just
1600 on the It's 1600 on the PTR. Don't forget.
yeah, exactly. So many of these tanks are being more encouraged to more use cover a little more effectively, maybe face tank a little more. And well, I have seen several people say that stuff like Roadhog Zarya might even be viable now because or well, I mean, a shield does work, but at the end of the day, I'd rather have a fully charged Zarya shooting at people over, an Orisa who's getting burned after her fortify goes down.
Yeah, you really can't. You really can't underestimate the amount of damage Zarya does at full energy. I mean, she melts even now. She melts. So when you take away
Even
those
with the
extra
nerfs.
shields, yeah, then you take away those shields on the PTR, and then she's just chunking in so much damage. So.
But that is neither here nor there, as we are finally loading into our map on Nepal, starting off just like yesterday on Shrine. Now, Corey, I know you're a fan of Fair on this map. I know plenty of other teams are as well. Do you think we're going to see it?
I don't know much about these teams, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm going to use this first map to kind of feel out what they're rolling with. But I wouldn't be surprised, especially on console. We all know the how do I put this? We all know how frustrating playing against a pharmacy can be. So I would not be surprised in the slightest if one of them rolls out. And at this rank too, it's really hard to play that meta, double shield with like a Doom Reaper or a Doom May, because most of the time teams aren't as good as their rotations and maintaining that discipline to block the sightlines of the Pharah, so they can get a lot of impact. So I would not be surprised if they roll out with the pharmacy.
And we did see Sim as well on this map yesterday, and I mean, Symmetra just has such a great range for this particular point and village on Nepal, which I don't believe we got to see yesterday at all. But Symmetra's beam goes almost from one side of the point to the other, and you can just take cover behind this pillar in the middle and just peek back and forth, building up your energy, building up your ammo, even since Symmetra does regenerate ammo off of shooting shields. And you can just start melting people down like we saw Tommen do. Now,
So while we're pausing, you brought up Symmetra. Just thinking about this. So with the PTR nerfs to shields, would you think that's a buff or like an indirect nerf to Symmetra? Because she won't be able to reload off of shields as often, but she'll be getting more damage in on actual heroes.
well, see, now that one's tricky because in this, at least the way the game plays right now, you don't want to, especially as like for a Reinhardt, for example, you don't really want to be holding your shield up to Symmetra because she's just gonna build up to her third level of damage and start burning you down, destroying your health. But on the so as a Reinhardt, if you were to play against Symmetra, what you want to do is be swinging away, because that's where Symmetra's weak. Symmetra is really strong when she can just kind of play it slow, build up her charge, and maybe get her turret set up, even go for a turret bomb. But yeah, if I had to pick whether it'd be a buff or a nerf to Symmetra, I'd have to say it's a little bit of a nerf because she can't be playing as slow as she wants. Now, of course, that is up to your own tanks if you're playing the Symmetra. Because, well, I mean, at the end of the day, tanks are generally what determines the pace of the game. Whether you're going to be going for a very aggressive push or whether you're going to be playing it kind of safe, going for some poke damage, some splash damage early.
Yeah. And that's why I kind of feel like you brought up the Reinhardt, which is a very, very good point. With that shield nerf, even though it's only 400, people aren't going to be as likely to just stand there because they don't. Again, even though it's only 400, it's a lot. At the end of the day, and people aren't likely to just stand there and take damage, to their shield because they don't have as big a shield anymore.
That is a very big problem we do see with Reinhardt's. I mean, mostly in ranked. In these team settings, we do see a lot more of uh, connected, I guess, pushes between the Reinhardts and Lucios or Zarias or whatever's being run with the Reinhardt. But yeah, Reinhardt's not one of those heroes you just want to sit at the choke at, kind of like an Orisa, maybe even a Sigma. With Reinhardt, you want to be pushing aggressively, using his shield as portable cover instead of just setting up behind it.
See, I just thought about this. All of this is Blizzard being super smart. They're going to buff Brigitte because she's going to be able to interlock her shield and give people their original shield HP back.
Brig will just be locked into one spot, won't be able to move, almost as if she's in a Junkrat trap, just holding her shield up, adding another small 600 HP to the shields. That would be quite a change.
And imagine if the Sigma shield, it could drag her, so she's just like floating across the map.
Or if you launch the shield straight up, she just flies off and oh my god, you could stun an ulting Pharah out of the air with it.
Oh, that would be good. Workshop, make it happen, someone. I don't know if that's possible, but let's do it.
It'd be very fun to watch. I'm sure it's possible. We've seen some crazy things come out of the workshop. Even your Ash Roulette that we have played on our own time, we've seen as a workshop game mode. For those of you who don't know what Ash Roulette is, you basically just stand in a circle with everybody having picked Ash, and you use your hello emote, and Ash, of course, has a very high chance to simply say hey over and over again. And on the rare occasion that you do say hello as Ash, that's it, you're out, and everybody has as much opportunity as they want to gun you down before you hit the ground.
Yeah, favorite of Liam, my son. He likes playing that one. But as we're waiting on here, I guess we can talk about the preseason more. Something that I've brought up before. It's always interesting to see how teams treat the preseason. You know, are they going to experiment in a very, very, I shouldn't say very realistic, but a little bit more realistic, if you will, than a scrim. Are they going to experiment? Are they going to actually run stuff that they want to run in, once it gets into the regular season? How do they want to approach this? Is this a practice type of let's just throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks? Or is this a, hey, we got a comp and we're going to run it type of situation?
And, well, on that note, we did see yesterday Sixth Sense was kind of messing around with some really strange comps. We saw a dive with Bastion and Torbjorn come out. Now, of course, I don't think necessarily they were trying their hardest in that particular game, but it does kind of go with your point about some teams are going to be taking this more seriously than others because, well, it is preseason. So, like, at the end of the day, these maps don't really count for much. It's more of just to figure out how the other team plays.
But see, like, you started your sentence out with dive, but then you said Torb and Bastion. So I'm not sure if I can take what you said as realistic here.
Yeah, we did see Sixth Sense start off with more realistic comps on Nepal yesterday, but after Nepal, it did start getting a little more haywire. People swapping roles, picking some stranger heroes that we don't really see too often. Speaking of which, I think we might. I think Soldier's kind of an underrated hero in this meta. He has so much mobility to get around shields, especially on a point, not necessarily this point, but the other point, Sanctum, with that high ground that you can just flank all the way around. I think Soldier is definitely a hero that's kind of underrated. You can put in so much damage with his Helix rocket. It does as much damage as a Pharah rocket. It has similar splash radius. And while Soldier does also have the hit scan primary fire, which at the end of the day, hit scan is generally easier to aim with than projectile because you just have to kind of click their head, point your crosshair. The 2-year-old saying, just click on their head, forehead.
I don't know. Have you ever played Junkrat? He's a projectile. And I
Well,
don't.
Corey, from personal experience that my Junkrat's a
No
little
aim.
strange.
It's hard to miss when you're on top of the other team.
You're right. It's hard to miss when you're 2 feet in front of somebody, especially if that's a big old tank and you're just CCing them around with mines. And actually, on that note about CC, back to the PTR patch, Reinhardt is getting a huge buff. He already has 30% less knockback effects from CC on this current patch, and he's getting an extra 20%. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos out there, but there's some clips of people trying to boop Reinhardt's off the bridge on Lijiang, and they just don't move.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm not a fan of that extra 20%. To me, he already felt really good with the 30%. You could definitely tell it was mitigated, the CC a little bit, but there was still the ability to get CC'd. With the 50%, it feels like you said you can boop him, and then it's like he literally does not move, and it's kind of, I don't know. It just seems a little bit weird. I didn't think he was in a bad spot in that sense with CC. When I played Reinhardt, I felt the 30% felt really, really good. Um, so I don't know. Unfortunately, they don't treat the PTR as a test ground, so it's probably going to go through anyway, whether people like it or not. But of course, Reinhardt players are going to like it.
Well, now that brings up a kind of a curious point. I'm curious if Lucio can actually boop a Reinhardt up high enough for his own Reinhardt to shatter under him, because that's a combo we saw a lot during the Goats meta. You'd send your Lucio with a bubble, just speed boost into the back, boop the Reinhardt up in the air, and whenever he'd boop the Reinhardt up in the air, the Lucio's own Reinhardt would just shatter the backline. And while the Reinhardt's in the air, literally nothing you can do about that. Now with the 50% uh, less knockback from CC, I wonder if you can even boop him high enough to shatter.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I wonder, see, how do they? I haven't watched any videos on how the Doofus, but does the Doofus interactions change um with that
Actually, yeah,
Reinhardt?
I haven't even thought about that either. I wonder if his rocket punch sends him like 50% of what the distance should be, because that would be a huge buff to
That would be
Doofus or to
nuts.
Reinhardt in the 1v1
Yeah,
between Ryan and Doofus.
that would be crazy. That'd be a huge nerf to Doomfist, really, and a huge buff to Reinhardt in that matchup. That'd be crazy.
A lot of experimenting is gonna happen, I feel like, whenever this new patch drops. Personally, I'm very excited. I'm excited for the more faster paced gameplay of just something like a dive or a really aggressive death ball. Now, we have been seeing those every once in a while in this meta, but it just isn't as common.
Well, and I feel like this is buffing raw mechanical skill because with that it was either last patch or the patch before where there was that 12% ultimate nerf. So now we're going to be getting, at least it seems like we're going to be getting faster paced games with less ultimates. So it seems almost like we're buffing, like, I don't want to say high skilled, but that's what it kind of seems like, getting those heroes that can get value without their ultimates. The ultimates are kind of secondary. I feel like, it's almost like those are kind of getting a little bit of a buff, kind of indirectly almost.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot more of neutral game fights being important once this new patch drops. As it is right now, you can, with the slower pace of the game, you can kind of stall it out and wait for one of your DPS or your tanks to get a big ultimate, so then you can just re-engage in the same fight with that ult. But as you've said multiple times now, the faster paced gameplay of what's on the PTR right now will it will most likely end up in more neutral fights because you don't have as much time. Just sit around, shoot some poke damage over towards the enemy team. Slowly build up your ult. No, it's going to be a lot more of hard engaging on certain heroes, trying to burn somebody before their healers can heal them up.
Well, now, do you think this would? Do you think how do you think how do you feel Zenyatta fits in here? Because it's like, do you want? Obviously, you lose healing, like just raw healing with Zenyatta, but with less shields, maybe you get more pick potential. I wonder how he's gonna fill in, with this meta type of the
See, I
lower
think
shield meta, I guess.
I personally think Zenya, it's going to be at least at the highest level, at the Overwatch League level. I think we're going to be going back to a more divey meta, similar to what we had over 2 years ago now with the Zen Lucio dive and just very low healing but very high damage. You want to go for the fast engages. You want to take out the Discord target as quickly as possible and just have your Zen calling out who's the Discord on over and over again, swapping it. Now, see, that's ideal. That's an idealistic standpoint for me personally, because that was the meta that I loved the most in this game. But
I wouldn't mind Ana coming back as well. I love some pro league, pro level Ana play. It makes me yearn for the if I could ever do that, but obviously I can't.
well,
It
as
just
you said,
the amount of impact she can have is nuts.
it's like you said. I think Ana is gonna be more common in this new meta because, well, there's for one less shield, just means less ability or less chances for your anti-nade to get blocked off by a shield or maybe even a matrix. Um, but a lot of people have gotten used to the amount of healing that is in the game right now, and there's a lot of healing in the game. Most of the new healers that have come out are absolutely bonkers. They have insane healing numbers. Baptiste and Moira can just heal so much.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, a lot of players have gotten used to that kind of playstyle, that slower, more healer-reliant playstyle.
Yeah.
So I think Ana could be a good substitute for Zen for some teams like that. If your Ana can hit her shots, she can pocket your tanks from afar instead of having the Zen Discord them. And you can go for the antis. That's another great dive target.
Yeah, antis are very big. It kind of might bring, if Ana comes back, it might indirectly bring Diva back somewhat because she's one of the more reliable counters to that anti-nade. But we really won't know until it gets rolling here.
Yeah, of course, this is all speculation, but it's speculation I'm excited about. This new patch, as I've said already, is something I'm extremely pumped for. I'm really happy with the direction that Blizzard's taken their patches. They've been very slowly nerfing certain heroes over and over again over this past year, and I think a big change like this is something the game desperately needed.
And they're finally reverting the goats nerfs or buffs.
Yeah,
Nerfs.
the armor nerfs are finally going down. The soldier is going to be a little bit worse, like we were saying yesterday. Uh, Considering now against armor he does 17 damage versus before and what it will be now, 15 damage. That's 2 whole damage per bullet. You have 25. What is it? 25 ammo in your clip as soldier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a total of I can't do. It's like 50 less damage over the whole clip. That's a lot of damage over time.
Big nerf though when it comes to armor is Reaper though. That's actually a huge interaction change. And Tracer kind of, but I mean she hasn't really been meta anyway, so not as big of a matter change, you know.
No, of course. Now, okay. This is kind of a sensitive spot for me because I really like Genji. I know you've known this for what, like 3 years now, Corey? Something like that.
I feel like everyone likes a good Genji. The problem is people get played with like really bad Genjis. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, they're bringing buffs to Genji. They're giving him 6 more ammo per clip. That means he gets 2 extra shots, whether it's a primary or a secondary fire. And frankly, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that impactful.
I don't think that matters at all.
Exactly.
I don't think I've ever seen someone playing Genji sit there and say, "Oh man, if I only had 6 more shurikens, I could have won this fight or something." Like, it seems. I guess technically he might be able to build Dragon Blade faster, but I don't see how that matters at all. You know.
See, something that I've heard several projectile player streamers say is they want a buff to his shurikens themselves, not the ammo count, but the actual shurikens. Whether That means the hitbox, make it a slightly easier hitbox to hit people with, or make it do more damage, because hitting the shurikens, especially at range, is so difficult as Genji. And,
Mm-hmm.
well, you don't really feel rewarded at all for hitting them a lot of the time, because it's just not impactful damage. It takes two whole shurikens two whole shuriken bursts to the body and a dash to kill somebody. That is hard to hit, especially if they're getting healed. You have to hit even more shurikens.
Honestly, I feel like Genji is always gonna be just such a difficult hero. I think because you know, if you overbalance his non-ultimate kit, now he's got an insane ultimate and possibly an insane just normal kit. So I feel like it's a very, very, very thin, fine line.
I feel like it's very similar to McCree in that sense, where McCree doesn't have a strong ultimate, but his mid game is really strong.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And Genji's kind of the opposite. Genji's like all ultimate right now, mostly. Now, of course, this doesn't count like the top Genji play, but for the most, even in the top Genji play though, a lot of it is you're waiting for a dragon blade most of the time.
And at the end of the day, there's just better options than Genji. You have stuff like a Hanzo for more consistent damage. You have Doomfist for just straight up better damage. Sombra so you can get hacks. And there's just so many better options to Genji. I really do hope that Blizzard are paying attention to how little playtime Genji actually is getting, and they find some creative way to buff him. I really like these shield changes, and I hope they take a similar route with some of the lower picked heroes.
It feels like with Genji, again, this doesn't count comp or quick play or anything like that, but like in actual team plays, it seems like when you see Genji, it's on a 2CP map or a hybrid, because you can just say, all right, we got 4 minutes, 2 minutes, we're gonna get a Nano Dragon Blade. That's what we're gonna play for, and once we cap point with that, then we're just gonna swap off immediately. That's kind of like seems to be the only time you see him.
Yeah, you're completely right. Sometimes you might even see a Sombra with there or a Mercy to help just make the blade that much better. But I mean, that's the thing. Genji's kit is completely based around his ult, and he doesn't even build his ult that fast. Especially with the shields going away is definitely going to help with that a lot. It's going to help with a lot of heroes building ult charge faster. Stuff like a McCree, a Genji, Soldier, just stuff that can pepper in damage from range into tanks will definitely get a big buff in the sense that they won't have 10 shields in their face.
Yeah, I know I mentioned earlier, but I definitely feel like Hanzo is gonna be running rampant with this new PTR. Do we know what's going on with the match over here?
Yeah, I think we have a medical emergency on one team, so we're trying to get that sorted out.
Oh, okay. I would say we've been filling for a while, and I mean, we might start going down like a YouTube rabbit hole. You don't know what's about to come out of our mouths at some point.
So at some point, we're going to be talking about Brick flying through the air again.
See, we've already been down the rabbit hole. Hey, I think that's one thing we can. Oh, wait, are we moving? I see a pause. Oh, okay, here we go.
Okay, and just like that, Corey just needed to ask, I guess, and we will be getting into Nepal Shrine. It feels like forever since I've introduced this map, so I will go ahead and do it again. This is a very Pharah-heavy map. Pharah just has so many angles to shoot into this point with, and the point itself provides great cover.
Science will reveal the truth.
And I think it feels like a really big difference once you start getting into higher level Pharah plays. How do they position themselves to go against a hit scan situation?
Round one. Capture the objective.
Well, we will be seeing Pharah coming out of the side of XD, but on the other end, Venomous not really looking for taking the Pharah. They're going for a very brawly ground focus point. They have the Reaper, they have the McCree, they even have a Roadhog to just help burn these. Oh, what a great hook! Guns out, but no, the Fortify is there. XD doing a great job of keeping their wrists up. Lucio taken down by Dylan is the best.
Yeah,
XD is just just going absolutely ham, putting in so much damage, but it doesn't matter because Dylan hitting every hook he needs to. XJ does get a kill on a Muhammad, but the Coalescence comes out from attacking the corner with such a quick ultimate. Dylan picks up 3 in that fight alone.
Yeah, it felt really weird that I cited blue. I'm pretty sure it's XD's, correct?
Yes,
it seemed like they played aggressive, but with that Pharah, you don't really want to play there. You gotta give your Pharah time. It just kind of felt weird how aggressive they played there. But switch is coming out.
Oh, and Halorino, nice kill on his Smurf Blossom, did get stunned now. The Hydra comes down, there's no bubbles up, and Themo taken down. Oh, but XJ with the other Hydra takes down 2. XG not out of this fight, just yet. Lucio trying to take down a party onto Lucio, won't be able to, and Halorino takes down Smurf Blossom yet again, the bubble comes out. So much damage being put out here for the side of Venomous. Dreamboat in the back takes that 1. We'll take down the Supercharger as well. The Smurfs coming in clutch for his team. And Boostio will finish off what's left of Venomous. Ooh, nice pin on the attack.
I'm really surprised XD committed ults there. It did not look like a very good fight. Once Venomous popped that high noon, but you know, I guess sometimes you just, where there's a will, there's a way.
Now coming back into this, a lot of ults are coming up for the side of Venomous, in particular the Sound Barrier and the Death Blossom. Now you've gotta hope that XJ's gonna be holding on to his stun for this Death Blossom, because it could be absolutely massive if he doesn't. XD setting up very aggressive here at the choke. The stun is out, and the Death Blossom is there! You have to hold the stun, but it doesn't matter. Smurf Blossom takes down the opposing Reaper, and XD fighting back, bringing back 2. Justin retaking this point. Venomous looking to set up to find a retake this point. They've committed an ultimate already. They can back out though. They have plenty of time. That's what else we do.
Yeah, it seems like just to start out with, if Dylan was getting his hooks, then Venomous was winning the fight. And then if he didn't hit his hooks, then they did not win the fight. Pretty simple, but that's kind of what it seems like to be.
And Dylan is making the swap over to the Sigma. It's a more common double shield, a more common bunker comp rather. And well, Sigma just have put so much damage with his hyperspheres, I believe they're called.
This ult economy is gonna be rough for Venomous coming out here though.
Valkyrie and Hydra come out early in the shade, and they're broken. No, and XJ finds 2. The Hydra comes out in response from XBOJ and takes down 1, but XJ picking up 3 in that fight. Boostio cleaning up the Coalescence as well. 85% on the point for XC.
If Venomous can get a touch, that was actually a very good fight for them.
Oh,
they pulled out 4
Blossom.
ultimates.
Smurf Blossom is set up on the sneaky spot for a Death Blossom. The Sound Barrier comes out extremely early. They need it. Oh, and the Wrap is there. No one can be able to touch. Oh, someone does manage to get on the point. But it doesn't matter. The rest of XD cleaning up. Dylan does bring back 1 for his team, but it won't be enough. This Hammond can only contest for so long.
I would say if the Hammond could get spinning on that, on the upper part of that pillar in the middle, that's very, very obnoxious and annoying. We've all been there. That Hammond just does not die when he's up there.
Now, thankfully for XD, if that did manage to happen, they did have XJ on the 3 with the stun. He can't stop Hammond in his tracks when he's rolling around like that. And already Muhammad on the Symmetra. This is such a great Symmetra point. XJ on the Symmetra as well. Looking like they're going to be running very similar comps.
And a small thing here is who actually gets the point faster. You know, who has the better pathing to get their Symmetra set up here, because that's going to be that's going to be huge.
Now, a big difference here I see between these teams is the Reaper versus the Mei. Reaper puts out so much more damage, but Mei has the CC and the wall. Although with a nice flame coming in from this Reaper, XBOJ trying to find someone, but Sim's already a full charge on point. XJ doesn't care about your Reaper flanks. Look at him charging off these shields, and nice! The wall, huge wall, takes out Halorino, caught in the ceiling, couldn't move at all. The first point will be going over to XD.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, XD had the better pathing, you know, got their Symmetra set up, you know, got their Mei ready before Venomous was able to even touch the point, and that really set them back.
This goes to show if you go the way similar to or the way on the same side as Coast going into faster, everyone always goes the wrong way and it's absolutely mind-boggling. But that's neither here nor there. XD Coast comes out early there. So does Rivet Flux and it finds nothing. Great ice block. Alrino though does find Lucio, but he's frozen on point. The 4-5 out. And nobody's going down just yet. Dylan getting frozen as well. The Blizzard comes out. The XBOJ does kill. I hit the expert. And this is possibly one fight for Venomous, even though the Blizzard is committed on the side of XD.
Yeah, pretty surprising. I think once they XD was able to wall off Colorado and Orisa, but couldn't finish off the kill. And it felt like with that wall down, you know, they lost. XD lost their opportunity to take the advantage there.
And Corey, do you think there's too many shields already? Because I see two big ones coming up in the ult feed. Both the Symmetras have their walls up. This is a 4,000 HP wall. Nice raw takes down to XJ, but nobody's going to be able to follow up on that. It's a little too far. The TP on the right side. The wall comes out, the shatter is massive. There's 4 people down, but that wasn't there in response, but XBOJ can't find enough. Huge TP play coming in from XD, and huge follow-up to the shatter.
And that goes to show you really got to be careful, especially if you're playing like a Symmetra v Symmetra. That Symmetra who puts down the wall first is most likely going to win the fight there.
He might get hit by a rock there. It was kind of funny. Huge wall there. Splits off 3 people, but no follow-up. Nice rock from Dylan will help stave off the push on the side of XD. But we got to get ID from he had to grab soon. The wall is massive yet again. These walls coming out from Squirtle cannot be understated in value.
Huge grab for Flux here coming in.
And XBOJ and Dylan pick up 2 kills. Muhammad looking for another. XBOJ coming up huge on this Reaper. Reaper exactly where he wants to be when he's inside this point. And 96%, 98% probably going to be going over. Never mind, all the way to overtime for XD. This is extremely good for their team.
It's kind of weird. It seems that Timo, the main tank on XD, is playing really aggressive, and he's not getting punished for it, but it's leaving his team a little bit exposed.
Oh, and look at this play, taking the teleporter all the way over here. No one would expect this angle. Who watches for here? And already XD, they're very aggressive. They have to go for the sim turns because they slow you down so much. And there's a Reaper in the backside. Grab comes out, and it's a big grab. There goes 2. That bust goes out as well, but nothing will be fine there. Timo with the shatter will help his team finish off this point and take a quick 2-0 on this point of Nepal. Or on this map of Nepal.
Yeah, it seemed XD got the ult economy of advantage and just never really let Venomous kind of flip that. And King of the Hill is hard. If you get rolling, it's very hard to come back when you're down, especially down in the ult economy like they were.
Oh no, we've seen a boot Reaper before, or sorry, a boot ult before. Yesterday was a high noon. This time it could have been a Death Blossom. But as you were saying, the ult economy is such a big part of King of the Hill, and at the end of the day, it's generally whoever uses their ults first wins these fights. You have to be very aggressive, very engaging with your ults, because otherwise it gives the enemy team a perfect opportunity to use as many ults as they want, and well, that's not what you want. You don't want to be getting hit in the face by Gravitic Flux or a Supercharger or a Blizzard. But although it was a 2-0, it wasn't exactly a one-sided affair. Venomous did take the points several times there. They did look good in several situations. You just gotta hope that they can really iron out the kinks in their strategy and figure out what exactly they need to do to take this game to maybe even a tiebreaker at the end. I do believe that Venomous can absolutely take 2 maps off of XD.
Well, NXT did a very good job in that last engagement. They knew that their comp is strong once they get in close, but weak far away. and taking that teleporter coast cut off pretty much all the sightline that Venomous had on them. And so by the time Venomous saw XD, they were already on the point. They were already inside of him. And it's really, really rough for that double shield once they get in that close.
And I cannot understate the amount of value that Smurf Blossom got on his Mei. The walls were absolutely crucial in their team coming up with the victory on that second point. And not even just the walls, he was freezing the tanks over and over again. And if your tanks can't play the game, then that means you have way less engage, you have way less sustain. And as we've been saying all day, sustain is the name of the game right now in Overwatch.
Goats. I mean, it's kind of funny that, I guess the original GOATS was a tier 3 or tier 2, tier 3 team.
Tier 3, yeah.
And I'm sure they weren't the only ones to think of this, but really kind of popularized it, and it kind of made everyone sit and say, wait a minute, we should just win on point. and it's kind of, it's gone from that, and I mean, I don't think it's ever looked back, to be honest.
Not to brag, but my team did it before GOATS did. Unironically, my team was actually running triple tank, triple support before GOATS came in.
I will have to say though, I am a bigger fan of Slambulance. That's a lot funner than GOATS.
Is definitely more fun. You just run on in with a bunch of tanks. Honestly, the way Slambulance works right now, I'd even replace a D.Va with a Sigma just for the extra damage. Or with new Orisa with her with her immense speed while she's shooting. It looks like she's power walking.
I got the on the PTR. That is another one of those changes that that speed, quote unquote, walk when she's shooting. She has that speed mitigation. Does not seem like it's even there. She just seems like she's galloping and shooting at the same time.
And see. This is the time, Blizzard, to let Tor put a turret on Orisa's back. Just let her gallop in with the turret. That would
I've been saying that before we got Orisa. And let me put a turret on Winston's back. Come on, Blizzard. He's got a jetpack already. Would it hurt to throw a turret on there? Workshop people, make it happen.
I'm sure it is in the workshop somewhere. You just gotta dig deep and find it because, man... Workshop was such a great addition into the game. Granted, not everybody gets use out of it, but it's just so much fun to find all these crazy game modes, all these super cool, like, little intricacies that you can find in the workshop itself. And what people have done with it, like, there's some talented people out there, not me, but there's some talented people out there that have made some awesome game modes.
Blizzard needs to hire some people. That's all I'm saying.
Hire Darwin 2020. Oh my god, it's almost 2020.
Yeah, almost. Happy almost New Year.
Well, coming into this map, I'm just gonna blow right past that. We are gonna be on Eichenwald. We are gonna be on Eichenwald here. We were stating yesterday the strength of Pharah on this first point, especially defensively. This clock tower is so strong it's just such good cover against a Widowmaker, a Soldier, McCree. Just it gives Pharah so much positioning, or so much freedom with her positioning. On the defense though, we aren't going to be seeing a Pharah, we're going to see the XJ on the Hanzo instead. What do you think of this, Corey?
Bigger question I have is Smurf on the Ashe. It's just one of those. What I say is that if you're gonna run Shield Break, i.e. the Hanzo, you might as well just go all in and run the Bastion with it. You know, it's unless this Ashe gets some really good flanks and some dynamites, I just feel like it's gonna be really hard for her to get value out of it.
Well, you do have Dream Monkey on the Mercy. Mercy and Ashe, of course, are an incredibly good combo as Ashe can one-shot with damage boost. And on the attack, we're going to be seeing XDOJ back onto this Symmetra. They're going to be going for another close quarters comp with the Rhyme Zarya.
Yeah, let's see where they teleport from. It's going to be interesting if they come from the choke or the right side. And they
they're just
do
gonna
go
TP straight
straight
on
in.
in. They TP on the Baptiste, but they don't see him. That's absolutely that's so unlucky, and because of it, XJ and Smurfloss pick up plenty of kills for their team. XE could have been in a very bad spot there, but they got very lucky as the Baptiste was not spotted out.
Well, it was kind of weird. They TP'd on the Baptiste and the Sigma. Looked like they called out the Sigma, and actually ended up back in choke where the Sigma was. So, you know, they used the TP to get in there, and then they kind of just, alright, let's go back and chase someone. I'm gonna finish him off.
Look at Boostio's ult charge. He already is so close to the amplification matrix. And nice kill by Smurf on the attack there. Trying to stagger them out a little bit more. Every little something counts at the end of the day. And Venomous pushing it without their Moira. You hit a kill, but will be able to get res back up. And the Fair doesn't push XJ. Take it down. Dylan is out to get these DPS players. Venomous in a good spot. They have defensive positioning on point. They can change their engage. So Dylan just going absolutely ham on this fight. The Shatter's there. It doesn't fight too much, but it will be enough for his team to push in. Young Reaper picking up the melee kill on the Hanzo. And XBOJ popping off on this Junkrat, exploding into several kills.
Allow me to repair the damage. Objective.
And it really
Nice
looks
first
like,
point cap.
yeah, even though Venomous lost that first fight, both fights they were very aggressive and just really got inside XD, and both times XD just kind of fell apart positioning wise. The first time they were able to take it back anyway, but the second time was all Venomous, and I feel
This is exactly what you want to be seeing from your team. You want to make sure everybody's following the same plan, and well, XD are just absolutely at the mercy of Venomous right now, because Venomous are playing so well in this map. The Bongo comes out early, Venomous, so much damage coming out, so long, but the grabs are it out, and Dylan has picked up 4 kills this fight! Young Reaper does get one off of the grab cluster with his dragons, but Dylan going absolutely mental on this Reinhardt. Put this man on the Reinhardt and don't take him off.
Although they won the fight, Venomous invested a lot of ultimates. That sound barrier especially seemed a little bit wasted. So the XD is going to have a free Graviton Flux from their Sigma here.
And now we see Clara coming out for Young Reaper with the pick on the Smurf Blossom. He does not care. Young Reaper is a huge player on this team right now. I think the expert does get a kill to Druidic Flux, though, as he said, it doesn't have the sound barrier there. Sort of
interesting more lessons. Sure.
It does come out as their team is disengaging, but Venom is still in this fight. They still have an opportunity. The Shatter's massive!
The Shatter, the Flake Shatter.
That's what he was doing when he pinned away from his team. You know what? At the end of the day, if it works, it works. Dylan like coming up plus keeping XD getting a steamroll here on this map. After that first fight, they just haven't been able to find the flow.
Yeah, and it's honestly really surprising on the side of XD. If you're staring at a Reinhardt and the Reinhardt disappears, you gotta be asking yourself, where is this Reinhardt?
Take it from the top.
Dylan, another kill onto XJ. He is going insane. Dylan is killing everything. Doesn't even get moved off the map. Steadfast OP. And Dylan is on a 20-player kill streak right now.
I'm really surprised. I don't know if you caught it. Smurf Blossom actually switched to the Genji at some point and immediately turned around and went back into spawn. So he's sitting at 80%. If he would have actually just came out on that Reaper earlier, they might have had the Death Blossom to turn that fight around. But they don't, so let's get the third point.
And Dylan has another Shatter ready. Parts could be very crucial with this speed boost here. You can see, oh wait, is Dylan going for a Flame Shatter? No, it doesn't look like it. Dragons do come out early, split up the Moira.
Oh, he's got a Flame Shatter with a Flame Shatter, there it is again!
And the huge Shatter, Dylan, coming absolutely massive. It doesn't really seem to matter though. There's one fight doesn't kill the DPS on the side of XD. They come in crucial for their team. And well, that's a really difficult point to be in for Venomous. This is such a difficult point.
XD has got to ask himself, where did the Reinhardt go? and turn around and find him.
Dylan has got to pick so many of his fights. The sound barrier comes out, but it's not going to hit anybody. On the offense, so the sound barrier is there. Venomous looking to bring this fight back. They've only lost one so far, but it could be bad. They're low on HP and XJ, coming in big for his team yet again. Palarino does pick off one, but XJ looking to bring this one back. Takes on Dylan. The carry is down. No more bumper shadows coming out from this man. And Venomous slowly being pushed back. XJ, rocket punch kill after rocket punch kill, doing absolutely so much on this doofus.
With 2 minutes left, though, Venomous has a very good chance.
What?
I was just saying with the punch
it's his
control.
own spawn, and Smurfloss punishes him for it. Palarino and Dylan.
Oh, the two! Oh, he gets one, but he.
Oh my God!
This deal with the boot.
And we see here why this third point is so difficult to attack. It's just so hard to get past the sprint. The very aggressive meteor train comes out, and it seems like finally Venomous are going to be able to get a foothold here. Attack is on the audit here, but the pin on the Dylan. Oh, the boop again! Venomous is just getting moved off the map over and over again. Shatter comes out, Dylan cannot block it, and it seems like it will be his team's demise as XD come in clutch again when they're down 2 people.
They really need to be having someone look, where is this Reinhardt and where is this Lucio? Because that's all they've been doing.
Lucio has got like 3 boops on this point alone.
Venomous is just staggering him right now.
Attack gives a nano, gives the kill on his Evo, and this is an opportunity. The shadow comes out, only finds one.
Oh, the boost out of the way!
Blossom coming in. There's 2. Can they bring this back? XD not ready to give up just yet. The grandpa surges both come out. XD looking to sustain through this. So much damage being put out. The sound barrier is absolutely crucial. Palarino so low and Primo, he gets the kill. That's so much damage put away, and I hit the expert comes back. Dylan not able to do enough for his team with 15 seconds left. They came in this for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, and really those last almost 2.5 minutes, it was just staggering in by Venomous. And that's obviously going to hurt them.
Oh, the high dude!
Oh, this could be it if they can get a touch. They got the touch.
XD got cocky and are getting punished for XPOJ fell off the map! What? So many environmental deaths on this point. In part, getting bullied by Doofus right now, trying to sustain that XJ, getting the pick that his team needs to re-engage in this fight. The Shatter's there! But doesn't find anything at all. Great fade. Doesn't go to first loss low. And Demo, these Reinhardt's going back and forth, kill after kill, and XJ there to punish the Shatter is there, finds the Doofus on the ground. XD are fighting this back. This looked like such a lost fight. Boost, you got another boom kill in the middle of this fight. This man fall right into the enemy team spawn just to get an environmental kill.
And it really felt like the story of that point right there was XD was playing really aggressive and then eventually overextended. Venomous punished, but then on the other end, Venomous overextended themselves, and XD punished that. So it really felt just like the punishment of overextending on that point is what did both teams in.
And man, Busio living up to his name, coming in huge on the Lucio. I think he got 4 or 5 environmental kills on that bridge.
Yeah,
you gotta watch your ledges, kids.
Yeah, and if it happens once, you know, good play on Busio, but if it happens 2-3 times, Venomous has to turn around and find this Lucio. They had the means to kill him. Honestly, it felt like it never did.
At that point, they could have just walked right out of spawn towards the castle instead of going up the bridge because, well, that castle you can't get booped when you're in the castle. There's no way.
I mean, if the Lucio booped you into a Doomfist boop, which went into a Hammond boop, which into
and a
Pharaoh
Ride
boop.
Pin that missed.
See, you could boop him out of the castle. It takes some coordination, but it's possible.
And then you sleep them off the map anyway, so they can't get back.
I mean, you got double tap, man. You gotta make sure.
Well, on the attack, we see something you were mentioning earlier. We have the Nano Blade possibility and an EMP. They're gonna be going for this just for outright team fight win with those ults. It's probably gonna take a couple minutes to build up to them, but when they do get them, it will be a pretty guaranteed defense.
Well, and this is very important that XD keeps
What is
the
Lucio
ultimate
doing?
rotation.
Lucio is behind the enemy team. He took the wall ride around. He's on the point right now behind the entire enemy team. Now
Get the hack on another Ursa here.
Halorino extremely low. They can kill the Ursa. It's huge. I hit the X for getting the final blow. Attack does burn the Genji. No way to reflect that biotic grab. But attack picking up 2 for his team. Trying to win this fight back. Young Reaper picks up 1, and it's a very even fight so far. Venomous not wanting to give up at this point just yet, and they will be holding on.
Yeah, Venomous, if they need to take advantage of XD having this Sombra, which means when she translocates out, they have an advantage in the team fight.
And this is a huge swap, in my opinion, from Young Reaper onto the Sombra. He knows he's heading for an EMP Nano Blade. If he can hack one of those 3 heroes, that means that combo is going to be much less effective. And XBOJ in attack get the kills onto XD. XD trying to second back to their point. The shield's down, but no, the hook misses. Dylan.
The trap on Smurf Blossom, just sitting on the point, feels bad.
And XD still taking a lot of poke damage right now, giving ults for the side of Venomous. But on the attack, we have the big combo, the Nano EMP Blade. Cyber what is it? Cyber Blade? Cyber Nano Blade? I don't even know what people would call it anymore.
This is all on part 3. Can he avoid the EMP? He actually does avoid the EMP!
The Nano is a Nano! The Genji can't kill anyone, and the Sound Barrier instead is absolutely massive. Great positioning by McCarthy on the Lucio. Will lead his team, leading this fight up, but no! Lucio team looking like they want to bring this fight back. They're not ready yet. Venomous looking like they're gonna get pushed back after such a great play coming in from McCarthy.
Vic, I'm part 3, by the way.
Yeah, it's all the same to me.
But I mean, I really, like you said though, the positioning to not get hit by the EMP, I really thought them getting off that sound barrier might have kept that fight going for them. Obviously it did not. Smurf Blossom with another EMP coming in here though. Young Reaper has one of his own, so which Sombra gets their EMP off first is going to be crucial right here.
And Venomous with a great early pick onto XJ, going for some really potent damage, overextended just a little bit. Supercharger is out, 50% extra damage. Abusio finally found on these flanks. Dylan has set up to punish these flanks. And Venomous just a clean team fight there, pushing that big team back. And the expert is getting pushed back just a little bit. Dylan does manage to get another kill to Lucio. He's sick of these Lucio's antics.
Very interesting. How does XD want to play this? They have 4 ults, but they don't have Dragon Blade. But you really want to sit here on your full ultimate just for waiting on one Dragon Blade.
No, you don't. There come the ults. The Riptide with the EMP is absolutely massive though. Picks up 2. That's all you really need to win the team fight. And that completely cancels that from Expert.
And XD is... And honestly, it really does feel XD is committing to this EMP and Dragon Blade. And then I stay
Fantastic goes out. EMP shatters. Huge anti-nade. Great play coming in with free bogey. XJ does get a kill on it. I'm part 3. But it doesn't matter. The defense is there. They're solid. They knew how to set up against this EMP.
So now it comes down to, is XD gonna try and hack I'm part 3 with about to have that sound barrier against the Dragon Blade combo here?
And XD finally getting a full regroup. They've been staggering in for a few minutes here, similar to what the Venomous did. Deal a nice poke onto the Reinhardt, will get burned and BWT does take down for a couple of rounds. Sound barrier is coming out from both sides, but the Nano Blade is there. He burned through the sound barrier, swinging away, but Genvi just doesn't do enough damage. There goes to the XJ. Boostio, another boom! Boostio and this bridge have some sort of synergy, and he knows exactly when to go for the boost.
Yeah, I'm really surprised Part 3 invested that sound barrier before the Nano Blade came in. It felt like that might have turned it a little bit.
For Dylan, unfortunate for him, misses. Boostio's on a flank again. He's looking for these boosts. This Boostio's so aggressive. Huge play coming from the expert on the D.Va, though the high noon is there, takes down the back.
Part 3 getting his revenge though onto the Dream with the boop.
And Venomous
I stand corrected! Boostio says I want the last word on the boops.
Boostio has gotta have like gold damage at this point from the amount of boops he's been getting.
And Venomous switching to that May. Yeah.
Exactly. The May coming out to Junkrat on attack. We do see they have the EMP Shatter ready on the side of XD. This could be huge. There's so many people on the point. The EMP's there. Where's the Shatter?
No,
They weren't ready. They weren't ready. And the Shatter's there. Anyways, but it doesn't find anything. XD, a little bit of a miscommunication. And the whole hawk from Dylan pushes them all back. Almost gets the kill. Lucio's on the point looking for boosts right now. You have to watch for this Lucio, man.
Hasn't gotten any so far. He's gonna need some to turn this fight.
The high dude on the little platform off to the left. No one's expecting it. Two taken down. Giving off points absolutely nothing. And this looks like Venomous are going to be taking this map. Sound barriers come out. Yet again, they love coordinating.
The two-man boom by Boostio!
Four-man environmental kill, and to end off this point, Young Reaper freezes and takes out Smurf Blossom. Just a little bit of staggering in, but four boops in all at once coming in. What just happened?
Boostio really tried to turn that fight.
I want to know how many environmental kills happened on that map.
Play of the game.
There had to be at least 15, right?
And honestly though, it really felt that XD had an opportunity. They had the EMP shatter. They were at 80 to D.Va bomb. And if they could have just waited a couple seconds to build that up, it really felt like they had a finishing combo there. But just the miscommunication, the EMP, and then the shatter was too far away to hit anyone.
7 environmental kills coming in from Boostio. If you're gonna give somebody MVP for a map, it is definitely gonna have to go to him. Oh my god.
Not much you can say except just, wow. I mean, the bridge, the murder bridge. I mean, don't go on the bridge. They need higher railings. That's a safety. That's a safety violation right there. Yeah.
Yep. Man, and that's not one of those points that you really see so many boops on either, because you generally do get past the point pretty quickly. And most Lucios aren't crazy enough to speed boost away from third towards the enemy team's spawn for a boop. But unfortunately for Boostio, it just wasn't enough. Venomous do take map 2, and we are at 1-1 right now.
Both Lucios played really, really well right there. Their positioning to not get hit by the EMPs, to stay away from their team so they're not getting killed, but stay close enough to get value from their AoE. I mean, just really, really high level play by the Lucios right there. And of course, environmentals. You can't speak without mentioning those.
And well, we will be loading up into Volskaya. We did see XD pull out the Nano Blade EMP combo on the first point, at least, of Eichenwald. And well, 2CP is very similar to the first point on Hybrid in that you want to build up ults as a team and you want to use them, not necessarily all at once, but all in unison to really push back the enemy team. And if anything, if you can hold onto any ults for that second point, you could lead to a steamroll.
Real question. Do we see a Bastion here? That's what the audience wants to know. Do we pull out that Bastion in the Symmetra on attack or defense?
Well, see, that's a rough one for me, because neither of these teams have really shown too many cheesy strats, and, well, Bastion is considered a more cheesy strat amongst
I want the cheese, Vic. Give me the cheese.
Need some pizza in your life, Corey.
I do need some pizza. I am hungry.
Honestly, I gotta say no. I don't think we're gonna be seeing a Bastion on this map. I mean, I'm 100% welcoming a Bastion, because it's fun to watch. Especially with the TP when you go left and right, and God is it frustrating to play against. But
big question is, does one of these teams pull out the Symmetra on attack as well, and try and go coast here? That'd be something that they might want to watch for, because both teams have shown willing to use the Symmetra on Eichenwald and on Nepal as well. So not out of the question either.
On Nepal especially, we did see XD take that flank over by the coast side towards the mini on Village. And, well, that's really similar to this flank on First Point. We talked about it a lot yesterday. Excuse me. We talked about it a lot yesterday, though. And, well, it's just something to look out for. It's not necessarily going to win you the game, but it could definitely get you the advantage in a fight, because you could catch the enemy team off guard. I'm sorry, I'm fighting back hiccups right now. I'm also losing my voice.
Here, let me scare you. More orb. More damage orb coming towards you.
Alright, Corey, that is the most horrifying sentence you've ever said to me.
with Brigida.
I can picture it now. I'm running away from a fight. I dashed into safety towards a mini. And as I approach the mini, I hear the orb coming up behind me, creeping up like a serial killer, and taking my life as my body falls onto the mini.
You gotta get that suck noise going. I swear those things are sentient though. You're hiding and you're like, there's no way this map geometry is gonna bounce in it. And hits 5 walls, and it somehow makes it to you. It's incredible.
I don't know if you've been watching Fresh Nuts recently, but in these past few weeks, every once in a while, he's been including several clips of Moira orbs bouncing like 6 times and then killing somebody. That's often Narnia.
It feels like Blizzard looked at Junkrat as like, what's the best part about Junkrat? Randomly shooting and killing someone. So let's amplify that. So they gave you Moira. You throw the orb, and 5 minutes later, on a different map, you get a kill.
Yeah.
See, what you do is on Nepal, when you're on the upper map, you throw a damage orb towards the floor, or towards the outside of the map. And so you spawn, you spawn into the next map, and it comes and it kills you at a spawn door.
Oh my god. Yeah, for what Corey's talking about is on, I think it's Village?
It's all of
It's
Nepal.
either Village or, yeah, it's either Village or Shrine. You can actually look down on one of the other points. You can see it way off in the distance off the coast. I think it's Shrine.
But anyway, double sniper coming out here, or triple sniper actually coming out for the side of XD on defense here.
Oh, and a TP over them. Dylan, oh, Smurf lost a huge kill on I'm part 3. I said it right this time. Don't mock me. And Smurf takes out another. XBOJ does get one onto boost kill. Smurf lost 3 kills in fight. Looking for 4. Can he find another? There's 4. Looking for 5. No. Dylan is just tanking all of this on point. Smurf got so many kills, but it doesn't matter.
Back in. Wow, I didn't think this was gonna go to the side of Venomous here.
Well, you've got to give credit where credit is due. XBOJ's TP was absolutely instrumental in getting his team back quickly enough so that they can regroup. And even though Smurf Blossom got, what was it, 4, 5 kills, just isn't enough for his team. The shot is so aggressive, so early, sitting people down. Dylan gives no care, but there goes the punch.
XBOJ in the back, yeah. That was the thing they're gonna be able to do.
XD get some more kills here, maybe for just the sheer factor of getting an enemy team's mind. But Venomous gonna be pushed back eventually. Halorino staggering himself out super hard right now.
And XBOJ does have Symmetra Wall coming in, so that is, and with really only 2 ultimates, it looks like, for the side of XD, this could be a really good opportunity for Venomous.
Now, something people don't generally consider is Symmetra Wall does block off fire healing. Patch that came through almost a year and a half ago, I believe.
Here comes the wall, very good wall blocking off that point here.
Oh, and Busio, no boom bandit coming in with you. Dylan does get murdered by Infinity Vision off of the Robo Mod. But XBOJ is set up on the point. It's going to be so different from dislodge Symmetra from the point. Dragons come out, take it down, or going down the right side of spawn. It's First Blossom with the flank kill on the Young Reaper. Expert takes out Halorino, making himself on support here, and it's paying off on this Moira. And somehow they bring this back on the side of XD, an extremely one-sided push that gets completely turned around. Oh, and Dylan misses his pin, will get staggered out even further.
Well, I can tell you exactly why, watching this, XD was able to flip that because this is 2CP.
Smurf Blossom, a kill on the Iron Part 3 in their spawn, and we see
XJ going
using ult
way
so
deep.
aggressively. XD have been pushing so aggressively over and over again, and Venomous just keeps staggering out into it. They've done this on 3 maps now, and Venomous just don't really seem to respect it at all. Another kill onto attack. They have to respect this this enemy team pushing up so aggressively. It's not something you can just ignore and keep walking up past.
The good news for Venomous is that they shouldn't be able to get food here.
Busio not be able to find his environmental kills, you're right. And XJ punishment going a little too deep. Grabs a certain big Colossus comes out from either side. First Blossom takes out Iron Part 3, and that's all his team needed to just regroup and get set up for a second point. Venomous are gonna try and push in, but they don't have their Lucio. They're not gonna get here in time, and all 6 people are gonna be up on defense.
XD is actually very, very happy with that fight. Because you got out grab and coalesces and enemy team spawn.
Oh,
You can't
Bill's
ask
on
for
a flank,
something
but he
better
gets
than that.
spotted out. Look at how aggressive Timo is in pushing Dylan on this flank. He has a shatter, they know this. Smurf Blossom, another early pick. Almost every single fight, he's got an early kill. And the teams are so split up on the side of Venomous, they have to get a regroup here. They have to just sing and spawn if that's what it takes.
And Smurf, it honestly, it feels like he's searching for XBOJ on the Hanzo to try and pick him out, because once the Hanzo's down, it feels like he has more free room. Now granted, there is a Doomfist on the side of Venomous, but it seems like he does not care. Busio in the spawn.
Smurf Blossom with yet another kill. I feel like I've said this like 5 times.
Dylan getting
just
hooked.
regroup and spawn Venomous. You have to respect this team pushing up so aggressively over and over again. They're getting staggered. They're not doing anything about it.
And any trade that they get is a trade in the side of the defense. So as the offense, you cannot trade on Assault or 2CP. You have to go up in the fight. These trades will not help them.
And finally, a 6-man Reaper coming in for Venomous. They do look a little bit shaken, so they're going to have to make all of these ults count. Soundbearer comes out very early, not really giving too much value. Dragons comes out, so does Supercharge. XBOJ does get a kill on a Busio. There goes Halorino taking out Timo, and Young Reaper on the first block. Nice Graviton Surge, will find 3. Halorino coming up big for his team. But they've been in this situation before. They have to be ready for the contest. Nice shatter onto the Reaper. And no contest coming out.
Timo came out on the Hammond and he hit the wall when he rolled out with his full speed, so couldn't get to point there. But XD has got to be happy. Venomous came in there with about 5.5 minutes on the clock, and they burned it down to 1.5 minutes. They've got, although you gave up 2 points, they got to be happy with that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's just so easy to get steamrolled on 2CP, because Well, if you can take the first point without using any or just using a few ults, then you have so many ults for when the defensive side tries to re-engage on the second point.
Yeah, and it's really surprising that XD kind of just gave up that point. They had a couple ultimates, but they didn't see like they positioned themselves very well to counter and use them.
And on the defense, maybe I'm expecting a Mara, because double hit skins coming out. Now, I've got to disagree with running Ashe for that of Mercy. I just think Ashe gets so much more value out of Mercy than, honestly, probably any other hero except Pharah, where it's just so worth running the Mercy just for the Ashe, just for the one-shots, or the Dynamite. And on the attack though, we're seeing the Nanoblade again. And Smurf Blossom on this console, oh my god.
I mean, honestly, it kind of feels like Ashe's damage boost Dynamite is a little... It's not a bug, but it kind of feels like it at the same time, you know? Because she gets so much value out of a damage boosted Dynamite, it's kind of wild.
And XD already setting up for an aggressive push. Nice bubble cleanse Evo. His shield's already extremely low, though they have to be careful. Does get caught, but not killed, and now Young Reaper, nice kill onto XJ. That's gonna completely delay the Nanoblade. Honestly, against this Nanoblade setup, you do want to be trying to kill either the Ana or the Genji first every fight. You want to deny them their ults for as long as possible. Nice hook on the Infinity Vision. Dylan coming in big on this Roadhog that he started off the series.
And I think this is going to start favoring XD with the spawn advantage coming in.
Oh, and the anti's massive in the middle. There's one dash reset. XJ looking for another. Dylan, nice pull. Takes down Lucio yet again. Still has it out for this Lucio. PTSD from getting moved off the map over and over again. And with the whole Hog, you'll burn Teemo. Although in all of this, XJ and the Expert have been doing so well at building up their ults quickly. They already both have them. Just a minute and a half in.
I've come back from work.
And XD, it's got to be really careful. You don't want to overinvest, or you don't want to underinvest, which is a lot of people don't think about that. But if they invest 3 ults and don't win the fight, and had 2 that could have flipped it, you gotta invest it. You gotta win the fight.
And the Shatter takes down 2, no nano needed. XJ picking up 2 with the blade. Teemo picking up a 3rd on Halorino. And just like that, they have the nano coming into second.
XD said, hey, we know how to flank with our Reinhardt too.
XJ trying to put some full charge here off this Hog. Dylan should have just jumped off the map. Man, they're actually halfway to Nanoblade again.
And Vision at 80, they have a combo. I honestly, they probably might just want to go in with this grab and kind of just say, oh well, on the Dragon Blade, because they're only at 50% for that.
Lucio is in the enemy team spawning in. Smurfball is gonna pick on SBOJ though. He has it out for this man. Super does come out, burning the pinks on XD. Then Nano comes out onto the Reinhardt Teemo, looking to take people down. But I mean, so much damage. And so many goals being committed here for the side of XD. They do get kills. Halorino trying to stay alive on Sarissa. He is the mainstay of this point. If he stays alive, Venomous win this fight. And of course, as I say that, they are going to be holding it down. Halorino doing a great job prioritizing staying alive over getting kills, and his team wins off.
Yeah, and XD, and it was one of the things, like, they invested these ultimates, but they took so long to do it. Venomous was able to stabilize, and again, on 2 CP Assault, the offense cannot trade out, and it's not good enough. You gotta get a team wipe. You gotta get a 4v2.
Part 3 taken down by the Bionic Orb. The bomb gets counter hit by Teemo. They get, oh no! Teemo gets burned on the ground. The Dragon Blade gets... Oh, we've all heard that voice line plenty of times. The angry Korean into the gasp. XJ unfortunately gets burned before he can get any value out of his blade.
I'm pretty sure Genji is Japanese.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say Korean. I meant Japanese. No offense to any of our Japanese or Korean viewers out there. But coming back into this, oh my god, Smurf Blossom! Every fight it feels like he gets an early pick on this Hanzo. Nice! Oh, almost gets the bump, but unfortunately, just barely missed. And the Shatter's completely blocked. So many ults coming out here for either side, but on the defense, they're sustaining. And as we've said time and time again, sustain is what you need in Overwatch right now. Nice pin coming out, but unfortunately won't find anyone. It was a good idea, but won't get it.
Collapsing onto that Roadhog jump. Can they actually get him?
And Timo taking down I'm part 3, trying to help his hog, but unfortunately
XD coming in.
Him killed. The turrets are up on point, though. They have to take these down. XD with an extremely good opportunity here to take this point. Infinity Vision picking up plenty of kills on the Zarya. So high energy, so much damage. XJ taking down Young Reaper's last chance at a salvation for his team. Frankly, that Doofus was one of the last opportunities they're probably going to have. And BWT taking down.
Oh, nice pin by Timo right there. Onto Dylan.
And all things considered, honestly, a pretty even time being coming out here for both sides. The grab does come out. Doesn't really find much, but it doesn't need
Young
to.
Reaper has two.
As I thought, the trap! Pellerino got big brained by XJ on the Junkrat. Could have touched, but no, the trap is right there. Oh my god.
That is one of those instances though. You saw Young Reaper touch on the Doomfist when they only taken about 20-25%. If they could give up, they had already taken point. They can give up to 99% as long as they hold it at 99. That's all they need. So Venomous could have very easily gave up 1, even 2 ticks, and they could have regrouped and had a better fight than what they did towards the end right there. So.
And well, Young Reaper's just in general, Doomfist is one of those heroes you have to kill immediately, especially when there's a contest coming in. Because, well, I mean, at the end of the day, Doomfist has several ways to not necessarily one-shot, but do a ton of damage to people. And it looks like on the offense we're going to be seeing this Sombra come out. Maybe Hallerino and Dylan, kind of strange tank duo there. I'm expecting one of them to swap, but XDOJ is looking to take down Smurf Blossom on this Hanzo, looking to take back his fame on this Hanzo, because, well, frankly, Smurf Blossom's been running away with it.
So with 1 minute and 22 seconds, you got to think about what ultimates can we actually build up, and I think that's why they're going with the Sombra. They really expect them to be able to get up this EMP in 1.5 minutes. Question is,
can Smurf Blossom overextended, doesn't get hooked, even though the halt is there. Lucky for him. And it looks like, oh, XJ is ready for Young Reaper, takes him down to 2-tap. Oh my god, so much damage coming out from XD right now.
Dylan with the hook on Smurf though.
That's who you need to kill as Dylan in this situation. He's been coming in absolutely massive for his team, and since they're on the defense, his spawn's gonna be so far away. But actually just jumps right on in with the Joker, got burned by on part 3. Oh no, he lands it with the total mayhem!
A lot of mayhem right there.
From attack. Coalescence comes out on the defensive side as well. The hook is there for Timo, has the fortify ready.
The hack with the Reaper.
And Boost takes down XBOJ on the Hanzo. I'm lagging so bad, I'm sorry. This is very tough.
Also, XD, we got Dylan using his Warhawk here, getting to pick on the Smurf. I'm part 3, getting to pick on Infinity. Dylan finishing off the Moira, and this is definitely going to go to the side of Venomous. They do have that EMP, which can be huge. The question is, can Boostio hide and not get hit by the EMP? Because if he gets hit by this EMP on this point 2, it's going to be a rough fight, I think, for XD.
And it feels like my internet is finally back to where it belongs. Heard for his voice going real quick and chiseled for a little bit there. But EMP comes in, and it's big, and Lucio doesn't get hit with it, but he's not in a position to help his team out. Infinity Division taken down before the Summer comes in. Attack, Coalescence at 1 HP, so low. The Supercharger does come out, you have to kill the
Here comes the
Supercharger
tire. Can they
underneath.
get something? It's a two-man tire though. That could be enough.
The two-man tire is there, but Venomous just trying to stall out this point, trying to get this point. Because I mean, if they get it, it's so much time that they'll have. So that does see that XJ, but I mean, the stall is coming out, and XD coming out. The Boston takes on attack and the Supercharger. With that, XD will be taking this point back as soon as they clear off what's left of Venomous on the point.
You gotta say welcome to 2CP. You know,
Complete.
what can you say? Venomous had that fight, and really that two-man tire by XJ. Without those two picks, I don't think XD comes back. But with that overtime respawn timer and to 2CP attacker just disadvantage, you know, that two-man tire just changed that whole fight.
And honestly, if anything, the two-man tire, getting those kills in such rapid succession ended up coming to bite Venomous in the rear, because they did finish off plenty of them quickly. But if you can't finish off the last couple people, then that means you have 4 people streaming in at once to retake the point. And again, okay, I thought we were going to be seeing double hit scan again coming out from the defense. Venomous finally buckling down, running the double shield. They're just going to try and stack up on just all the damage mitigation in the world, pretty much. With XDOJ on the McCree and Young Reaper on the Hanzo. Smurf Blossom isn't on the Hanzo, so maybe Venomous will finally have a Hanzo player that gets to play the game. But who knows? On the attack though, see a possibility for the EMP death loss. It's not something we see too often, but it is an effective combo. That means there's no stuns to kill the Reaper, no boots to move him out of the way, and it just means Reaper has all up.
And that seems, both teams seem to be really valuing that Sombra, really want to build up that EMP.
And Devo, early death. This is devastating for the side of XD. Infinity Vision, full energy already, but not really able to do too much with it. Too many shields to right now. Young Reaper, nice kill. Oh, and the Rock from Dylan almost hit somebody on the enemy team. Now, this is an opportunity for the side of XD to regroup, because they know the shields are down, they're low. But Young Reaper, another early kill, overextended, gets taken down. And actually, this Sombra hasn't built up any ultra. You gotta wonder what he's shooting at. Well, it is the tanks, and that's frankly what he's shooting at.
Well, and it's running this Sombra. It's honestly, it's very hard for XD to get in because they're losing a lot of damage. But here comes the Coalescence, or the Gene Tiger.
Lightsabers dueling, Coalescences are out, and the point is so volatile right now. BWT takes out XJ. Young Reaper takes down one of his own, and Venomous looking like they're gonna very easily hold this first point. Only losing a couple people total. Great defense, and 2-1 going to the side of Venomous.
And what I always say is, in Overwatch, if you're gonna go do something, you might as well go all in. With that Sombra, it's really, honestly, you're playing at a 5v6 if you're running that rushdown with the Ryan Zarya Reaper, which XD was doing, but without the extra damage from, say, a Doomfist or a Hanzo or something, the Sombra just loses a lot of that value, where you have to play slow, but you can't play slow because you're playing Reinhardt. And it felt like that was a huge disadvantage for them right there.
Well, XD gonna have one more opportunity to take this series back and going into this 4th map. And, well, I called it at the beginning, it's a very close series. Honestly, both teams are just losing off of mistakes that they're making as a team. There's no standout plays that are really just throwing a team under the bus. And, you know, it's what you want to see, that small individual mistakes is stuff you can fix, is stuff you can work on. Even just right now, you can talk about it as a teams, as the captain. You have to sit down and say, all right, guys, doing this wrong. Let's try and fix it. You know, maybe we're staggering a little bit too much. Let's make sure we're regrouping in spawn instead of outside of spawn where we can get killed. But honestly, XD has just been playing so aggressive, but Venomous finding an answer. And now, Rialto.
Well, and now we see too, how far do these teams want to go? You know, again, like we said, it being preseason, you know, even if it's only 2-1, are you giving a rousing speech? Do you want to try and take this as a win and be extremely serious, or do you want to say, hey, this seems to be working, so we know, let's put this on the back burner, we know it works, let's try something new, see what happens. You know, how do these teams want to play that? Or do they just want to say, you know what, we've done 3 maps, let's just go cheese it out from the rest on.
You just want to see a Bastion on Rialto, Corey.
I want to see a spawn camp Bastion with a Torb.
Well, we did see a little bit of a Torb hammer 1v1 yesterday in the Rialto match. Some cheating from both sides, but
I want to see a Tracer sitting in the bushes at the beginning of the match.
Welcome to Rialto.
That's something I don't think we'll be seeing. People just don't do that as much as they used to, unfortunately. Tracer's, of course, got one of the smallest hitboxes in the game, especially when she's in her sitting emote. She gets so small.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting again with this preseason. How, you know, what are these teams willing to show? You know, obviously we're not Overwatch League level, so scouting isn't a priority as it is for those guys, but it's something that it should be taken into account. You know, how much do you really want to show as my dog eats a feather?
Well, as we were saying yesterday, Pharah is a good hero on this map, but we haven't seen either of these teams really opt for the Pharah. I think we saw Pharah maybe once on the ball, and other than that, it's been mostly just ground-based heroes. Maybe some snipers, Young Reaper, already on the Widow.
It seems both teams really like this Hanzo and Reaper. Or I should say Hanzo, Reaper, Doomfist. It seems like those three are rotating between kind of freely and often.
And you've got to wonder, is taking Smurflops out a good idea on this map? Because Hanzo was just going absolutely ham on this guy. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for his team to pick up the victory, but you've got to think it's definitely a big factor of why it was so close. He got so many early picks.
5, 4,
And Venomous is switching to the McCree Reaper, so again, both teams really like this Reaper Hanzo combo, filling in with the McCree this time on it for XBOJ.
And the hook goes out, nothing is found, unfortunately. Infinity Vision's looking for a hook off the map, and Hallerino! What a hook so far, and on such an impactful hero. He's looking for another one. Can he find it? No, Infinity Vision not going to find it on this time around. Has to be careful that he doesn't knock the back himself. And another boof! Boostio finding another bridge to boot people on. There go. Oh, attack almost gets knocked off. Oh, and Dylan
gets the trade there. It looks like everyone's thirsty today.
But XJ in the back, putting in so much damage on this Hanzo. He's just putting in consistent damage where his team needs it, frankly. And, you know, Hanzo's not exactly the hero you think about when you think consistent damage, but if you're consistently burning the shields, taking some HP, it is pretty consistent. You have the Junkrat now. On the attack, and nice pull into the Junkrat grenades. Takes out the
with the
another boost! Yeah! Look out for your ledges! Boostio has gotten so many boot kills in this series. XJ did get a 2-man dragon to finish off the fight. But check your ledges, look at the walls, I don't care what it takes. This man is on range.
And Venomous is just, they're taking so long to go across this bridge. That is what's giving this Boostio. That's what, right there is what they need to do. Just get across the bridge and just go straight into the other team.
And XBOJ taking down the menace that is the frog, wall riding all over the place. As the rest of his team does clean up on what's left of the kills. But on the defense now, you have 2 damage boost ultimates. That's going to be a lot of damage pouring in. not necessarily one character. That's a great pick. Infinity Vision. Oh, he lands on the he pops the whole hog, gets moved off the map, lands on the bow, and then walks off the bow. Unlucky, dude. Dylan, nice rollout on the ball, takes down. Ooh, super Calorino gets canceled. XD has an opportunity to take this back. And how are they taking this back? XD! We're down so many people. Man, Venomous was unable to push that last little bit to get the point there. Busio's already setting up for more moves. This man is hungry for the environmental kills. He does not care about anything other than that. Venomous, however, going to be pushing in a different way. Minefield engage coming out. Dylan, nice kill to XJ. The hook comes out on to Dylan, but Venomous still pushing in. Nice. Dylan with the huge minefield. He's picked up 3 this fight so far. Looking for another Infinity Vision taken, or not getting taken down just yet. And Dylan, 4 kills in that fight. Coming in clutch for his team.
I'm surprised XD didn't just back up and give him that point so they could fight on this bridge here. I mean, you got Busio, might as well use him, right?
Don't worry, one of these fights will look over as the side of Venomous is spawning and Busio. Look at it! I called it! I called exactly what would happen. Calorino not paying attention for this brawl. Busio is still set up with an angle on for boots. Dragons will come out and not find anything, but XJ will make up for it by taking down Young Reaper with his arrows. Oh no, this could be huge. Oh, Dylan
with the
finds 2. Legend! There are legends in the game that you have to respect, and with this many boom heroes.
And Busio again, though. Come on.
Oh my
god. This is just ridiculous.
I thought at this point it just feels like they made a pact that said stick near the ledges the whole game. Whoever's the most boost skills wins. Busio again will just jump into the minefield and take it down. And oh my god, this has been just boobs after boobs after boobs this whole series. Sound barrier comes out on the offense, but Calorino already so low. Nice grip tower takes down 2 there. Young Reaper on the flank, the Junkrat. And Venomous finally gonna be able to take this back, unless Busio somehow comes back and gets 3 boobs.
It seems like even though Busio is getting these high impact kills and we are hyping him up, at the same time you kind of have to wonder, does it leave his tanks a little bit more vulnerable since he's not being by their side?
For sure, you need this, especially if you're running some of these slower tanks like Orisa, like Reinhardt. You need the speed boost because otherwise your teams get left in the dust and left to get spammed down by a monster Junkrat.
And they do have 5 ults per minute here.
Supercharging Colossus comes out, and that's such a potent combo. East York Jr. only getting 1 kill with the Death Blossom. Needed more. Infinity Vision does pick up 1. This is winnable for XD. They have to coordinate on these kills. XJ pushing so aggressively, takes an attack. And man, it's such a weird push there. XD, you managed to bring it back. The Supercharger with Coalescence is such an underrated combo. It puts out so much damage, and it goes through shields, and it has insane range. And oh no, we've seen this before, just staggering out of spawn.
If Venomous can regroup, they have a good chance, because they did pull out 5 ultimates from the side of XD. Now granted, they do have Coalescence again because of Moira, but they do have an opportunity to flip the ultimate economy and take it.
Oh, and Big Dragon starts splits up the team. XJ picking up 2, East York Jr. picking up 1. This is still winnable, but no. Oh, Young Reaper bringing it back, but only 2 people alive, 1 person left on the side of Venomous, and they will be getting pushed back. And honestly, one of my favorite things to do this series has been just spectating the backline of Venomous and looking for where Busio comes in from. You just see him poke out from around a wall, go in for a couple shots, or get hooked in by Dylan because Dylan has his number. Infinity Vision pulls out early Coalescence. Hey, taken down, or sorry, Bullhog taken down, and Dylan and Young Reaper picking up all the kills for their team here. The Hook just barely out of range onto XJ. And XD getting pushed back, and as you were saying, Busio kind of throwing the game a little bit right there for his team. Gets killed with the sound barrier up. Sound barriers will come out from either side, but the offense does have the advantage here. There's the ult! That's a huge sprint tire. There comes 2 for the side of XD, and XD just picking up 4 kills out of nowhere! You've gotta wonder if sound barrier from I'm Part 3 was just too early there, not able to get the value he needed out of it, and 14 seconds left. This is looking
I don't think they're going to be able to touch here. It's going to be on that Hallerina on the Hammond, but Coffee's going to do
oh, the body block from Roots! They're not letting
Can he get there?
Oh,
Coffee has the last
but at the end of the day, he's still extremely low when he gets the punch and gets taken down by Infinity Man right away. It's going to have to be some big goals on the offense if they want to bring this fight back. But XJ, huge kill to Young Reaper, taking down 2 on the attack. For the 3rd on XBOJ, but no. Diego taking the kill. They'll just try to bring this back to the Bullhawk. But only managed to find 1. XD looking like they're going to be able to hold this Infinity Division with another Bullhawk. Looking to find whoever's left on the 1. And Parky taken down by the Piggy and XJ. Taking the last final blow onto Dylan. And
Hallerina somehow still alive.
The death monster comes out, though, and XJ has picked up like 6 kills this fight. This man is going ham on the Hanzo, putting Smurf Blossom to shame. Absolutely destroying that team. Another headshot onto XBOJ.
I don't think Venomous ever had a chance in that stall fight, but that was a good long stall for them. At least props for the stall material.
They got back to point very fast.
But like you said though, Boostio, you know, we keep propping him up, and I mean, as we kind of should with all these boops and these really flashy plays that he's getting, but fundamentally playing so aggressive like that, he has been caught out. And with that sound barrier, he's been caught out, and it kind of leaves his team in a vulnerable state. So it's like, you know, you're playing with fire, really. How far and how much do you want to give up, and how much of a chance do you want to take playing that aggressive? Obviously, it's paid off, but it's biting him in the butt too at the same time.
Well, when you mess with the boar, you get the bulls. Dylan just has Boostio's number. He's been picking it up yet again.
That is not the thing whatsoever.
I know, but it's great.
Oh man,
it worked.
I don't think it did though.
You know what, Corey? It made sense in my head. Hog, boar, it's all the same, right?
If you mess with the bull, you get the horns. That's what he.
No.
Meant to
If you mess with the boar, you get the tusks. If you mess with the hog, you get the hook. Easy.
Okay, I like the if you mess with the hog, you get the hook. That one made sense, but the I don't know about the bull.
Corey, I went for a weird. I went for a weird decision. I don't know if it paid out. It paid out in my head. You're just talking.
I'm gonna say no.
XJ on the Pharah. We haven't seen Pharah for most of this game, but as I said earlier, Pharah's a huge hero to play on this map. So much cover that you got over. Oh my god! This 4 teams, dude. These 4 teams are just getting moved off the map over and over again. Nice flank from XJ, but won't be able to kill anybody else, or won't be able to kill anybody. And nice hold from Venomous coming off that boop. Oh my god.
Both of these teams have got to watch their flanks here. I mean, just having a field day environmental kill-wise over here.
And Dylan setting up for another environmental. Oh, he almost gets it, Baptiste. Oh my god!
I'm Part 3!
Picking up where Busio left off, taking down so many. Busio on the mercy now, so he can't even fight back. He can't even respond to these kills.
And XD needs to take a page out of Venice's book. Just run across the bridge. The longer you sit there, the longer you get that happening. But the trade does favor the offense in this instance.
And I think that was another double environmental kill from Dylan and Infinity Man. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Dylan. Dylan booped the Roadhog off the map, and the Roadhog got the hook onto him, so he didn't want to. He did not go quietly into that good little pond over there.
Minefield engaged. We'll be able to take down East Yorkie. Nice minefield taking down the tanks very low. And Venomous looking to re-engage your attack, picking up 2. Moira, of course, so much DPS. It's very difficult to play Moira. And, well, at the end of the day, whoever just has the better Moira wins, I guess? Venomous, Venomous are back on the bridge. They want these boots.
I would just like to point out this railing in the courtyard here, that one railing is doing its job. It is holding strong.
It's sitting there scared that it's gonna get punched to death by some Junkrat. And it's down. It could have just come out along with the bull. That could have been a death and humble, but Halloran even tried to shield just in time. Infinity Vision taken down, huge pull. And this flanking Orisa. Oh, gets hurt by Yorkie, but not before Lucio taken down by the high noon. And Venomous yet again, going for a very strong hold, and these late kills are so good for Venomous because their Orisa was taken down so early in the fight, which means that they'll have even more time to regroup with their team.
And kind of weird placement by the amplification matrix on the side of XD. I mean, and actually Venomous just did a really good job of just splitting so they couldn't get value.
East Yorkie Jr. I think actually hits Dylan, and Dylan falls off the map, if I heard that correctly. Kind of unfortunate there for the Hammond. But that just means East Yorkie Jr. is going to be way closer to trip. Oh, cancels the Riptire! With his own concussive mind, he has Riptire ready if he chooses to use it. East Yorkie Jr. going to take down this Hammond. Oh, Dylan was so low. Young Reaper's on the soldier now. We back, and finally Infinity Vision opening up the point for his team, picking up 3 with the whole hog.
Yeah, I don't know how Dylan got out of that alive. I mean, I don't even think he had a bar of health.
Minefield does come out yet again. We've seen Minefield be absolutely crucial at this specific part of the map. And on part 3, takes out 1. Dylan takes down another, and the defense is fighting back.
Okay, the barrage, 2-man barrage.
And another
boom! And when Lucio can't get the res off, and that looks like it's gonna be it here. Or it's a little...
And 3-1 to Venomous. What a great series. Oh my god, the boops. There was like 10 on this map alone. Probably more.
Play of the game.
Yeah, can we get a team card that says how many boops for the team there was?
Look at this boop, look at this setup. Look how slick the rotation onto the bridge is as well.
And if you were able to see it, the Moira and the Roadhog went in between that corner of the ramp, the wall, and the gondola right there. That little tiny spot that you don't land in, that's where they ended up. So, but, yeah, there you go. 7 for Dylan alone. That's not even counting how many the Lucios got in there. And the Roadhogs, and the Marissos.
So. And, oh, you're right.
Who knows?
Oh man, just a very environmental kill heavy match. That was really fun to watch. Well, I think we will be going in for a post-game interview with the captains pretty soon here. But Corey, if you had to give somebody an MVP for the whole series, who do you think you'd give it to?
My take has got to be Dylan. On Nepal, even though XD took the map, it felt like every fight that Venomous won, Dylan had a part of. On the ball right there on defense, on Rialto, had really good minefields. And obviously, we can talk about the environmentals all day. But then on Eichenwald being so aggressive on that Reinhardt, it felt like every time Venomous had a fight and they won it, Dylan was in the kill feed at least once or twice. And if not counting those big flashy plays, it felt like he was just super solid, throughout the whole day for me.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I felt like I was calling out Dylan's name over and over and over again, but for good reason. Although there were some hiccups in his play, especially around Volskaya, uh, overall he just played so well. Venomous just as a whole synergized really well with Dylan. They followed up on his plays pretty well, and I mean, as you said, the boop kills alone would be enough to put Dylan in contention for player of the match. Now, of course, boop kills, or environmental kills rather, aren't everything. Um, but
They aren't everything. They're the only thing.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen that many environmental kills in a series. Period. There was so many. On Eichenwald especially, you don't generally see too many environmental kills on Eichenwald, maybe 2 or 3 a game. But there must have been at least 10, 15 environmental kills on Eichenwald.
Well, and you would think at some point you would really, both teams would really say, hey, we should probably not stand near this edge.
I mean, well, as I said, that's why there is multiple routes in every point out of every spawn, and if you're getting booped off on Eichenwald over and over and over again, at some point realize that it's happening and to make the conscious decision to go right through the castle instead of going straight up the bridge, because, well, the bridge is where the boops happen, boys and girls.
I apologize. I have to be very unprofessional, and I have to take this phone call very quickly.
That's perfectly all right. But yeah, honestly, today was just a game of boops. It felt like up for the majority of the maps at least. And well, I mean, if you're getting environmental kills over and over again, it doesn't necessarily mean that your team's gonna win, but it does generally help. And not even just about the kills. You have to think about the ult charge you're building too, because a lot of the time environmental kills are on people that have a lot of health. Usually they're not low on HP. And when you boop somebody off the map, you get all the XP, or sorry, not XP, all the ult charge for that one kill. So if a Roadhog has 600 health, you get 600 hit points of ult charge. And well, especially as a Lucio and as a Ball, that's so much of your ult.
As you say that, though, we talk about Boostio, getting all of these boops, but it felt like if he wasn't getting those boops, he was really out of position. He's getting all of this ult charge, and so they could almost pick and choose when to use their sound barrier, but it felt like they always used it in a fight after they lost because, he got caught out being so aggressive. So again, like we talked about in Rialto, like playing with that fire, how aggressive he is can cause him to get picked off, and it did in certain points cost his team.
Now, unfortunately, today we didn't see anything crazy like we did yesterday, booping a high noon into a 2-man. But we did see some pretty crazy plays coming out from honestly the majority of the people who played today. Even some of our mercies were getting in there, putting in a lot of damage with their pistol. But well, at the end of the day, I think we do have to end up giving MVP to Dylan for everything we've said. But I do want to give Smurf Blossom a shout out because his May on Nepal was instrumental in his team's victory. His Hanzo on Volskaya was absolutely insane. He kept getting early kills over and over again, and at some point, yeah, you do have to start saying, oh, Venomous they aren't taking the angles they need to get to point, so they can be safe. They aren't being smart about their rotations, but you still have to hit those shots, even if people aren't being smart with their rotations. And well, Smurf Blossom was hitting all of them.
Mm-hmm. And he did a very good job too, especially on Volskaya. Once Venomous pushed in, he hung back just a little bit, and as they were coming around, he would just plop 1 or 2 shots in their back, and then as soon as they turned around, he was already gone. And sometimes he would get a pick with a headshot, and other times he would just put in damage to make Venomous have to pause. And just honestly, his positioning was really, really good throughout all of Volskaya. Sometimes it's not enough for the whole team.
All right,
Sometimes you gotta kill 6 people instead of 4.
Well, it looks like we're not going to be having a post-game interview with the captains, so we will leave it off here. Thank you a lot for watching. Again, I've been Angels with my friend Corey here.
Hello.
And this has been Blackwatch. You said bye, Corey. You said you'd say bye. You ruined the one thing you said you were going to do. But yeah, this has been Blackwatch Tower.
There's a reason I'm a diamond.
Week 4. And we'll see you guys later.